by Tracie Peterson, narrated by Christina Moore, and directed by Caitlin Parker. This book is copyrighted 2006 by Tracie Peterson. This recording is copyrighted 2006 by Recorded Books, producer and publisher of Recorded Books Inspirational, an imprint dedicated to stories of faith and the human spirit. Leah Barringer and her brother Jacob have come to love the rugged Alaskan territory they call home. But when Jacob determines to join an Arctic expedition, Leah realizes her heart yearns for more than this solitary existence. And now, Summer of the Midnight Sun.
Chapter 1. Last Chance Creek, Alaska Territory. May 1915. "Where is he?" Leah Barringer whispered, scanning the horizon for a glimpse of her brother and his dog sled team. He should have been home weeks earlier, and yet there was no sign of him. A cold May wind nipped at her face, but it was the hard glint of sun against snow that made Leah put her hand to her brow. They had suffered through weeks of storms, so the sunshine was most welcome, but it was also intense and blinding. "Jacob, where are you?" Her heart ached with fear of what might have happened. The Alaskan wilderness was not a place to be toyed with, and though Jacob was well versed in the ways of this land, Leah feared for him nevertheless. Jacob had left nearly 2 months earlier for Nome. Hunting had been poor in the area, and many families were going hungry. He had made the decision to travel to Nome for basic supplies and to replenish the store of goods he and Leah sold from their makeshift trading post. A master with dogs, Jacob figured he could hike out by sled and be back before the spring thaw made that mode of travel too difficult. It was a trip that should have taken 2 to 3 weeks at the most. Storms had made it impossible to send someone out to check on Jacob, and hunger made it unwise. There was nothing to be gained by risking more lives. Besides, she reassured herself, Jacob is as capable as any native Alaskan. He had the best dogs in all of Alaska, too. Leah tried not to worry, but Jacob was all she had. Since their mother died when they were children, they had clung to each other for comfort and support. Their father, a grand dreamer, had dragged them to Alaska during the Yukon Gold Rush some 17 years earlier. After his death, Jacob and Leah had made a pact to always take care of each other. Not that she didn't want more. Leah was facing the harsh reality that she was nearly 30 years old, and the idea of reaching that milestone was more than she could bear. She longed for a husband and children. But here in the frozen north of the Seward Peninsula, there were few prospects. The natives had little interest in white women. The whites were perceived with skepticism at best and animosity at worst. Most of the natives she and Jacob befriended accepted them well enough, but none had shown an interest in marrying either Leah or her brother. Leah wasn't sure she could be happy marrying a native anyway. She wasn't completely comfortable with their lifestyle and interests. Many were steeped in superstitions that she and Jacob could never be a part of. She had shared her Christian faith with anyone who would listen, but traditions and fears were strong motivators compared to white man's stories of a savior and the need to put aside sinful ways. And though Nome sported more white men than other areas, most were aging and grizzled, and not at all what Leah perceived as husband material, furthering her matrimonial woes. Added to this, many were just as steeped in their traditions and superstitions as the natives. Most had come up for the gold rush in Nome, hoping against the odds to make their fortune. Few had actually succeeded, and many had lost hope long ago, giving their lives to a bottle or to some other form of destruction. 10 years ago, Jacob and Leah discussed their desires to marry and start families of their own. They agreed if either one found true love, they wouldn't feel obligated to forsake this for the needs of their sibling. Leah had thought they would both find mates and settle down to raise families. But this hadn't happened. Her guardian, after her father's death, Karen Ivankov, understood Leah's distress. The same thing had happened to Karen in her youth. Love and romance had eluded her until she was in her 30s and alone in the wilderness of the Yukon. Sometimes Karen's long wait to find love and marriage encouraged Leah. Karen often said that when the time was right...
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.